Uncertainty is the worst thing a business can face, and it definitely seems to be the only sure thing these days. Candace Laing is President and CEO of the Canadian Chamber of Commerce. Candace, thanks for being with us.
Thanks for having me.
And I know you've been down in D.C. What are you hearing from your U.S. counterparts about optimism that we can come to a resolution on the trade war?
Well, I was in D.C. last week, and from both business and political leaders, was actually really pleased to hear a strong message just of Canada is a valued partner. I would say, Amanda, there's a bit of a difference maybe in leanings, and sometimes that message comes with you are an absolutely valued partner, and we don't agree with these tariffs. Or it might be you are a valued partner. We understand the importance of our relationship, and let's see where this goes. And I would say my sense of that is because what's important for a lot of those leaders that say the latter is they're seeing that with the foundational perspective of it's really important for America to get their house in order and to really address the federal deficit, which they believe is not sustainable. So valuing the relationship, but wanting to see where this goes because they're holding on to that aim.
Of course, seeing where it goes is the preoccupation for Canadian business too. Are businesses starting to adapt? They tend to freeze in uncertainty. Are you starting to get a sense that they might actually make plans even amidst this uncertainty?
Well, as we know and understand, like long-term plans that are based on tariffs are not really effective because that doesn't provide any certainty, even though it's supposed to be, a directional aim of the America First trade policy. But I think we're seeing more exactly how you say, just the freeze, the holding on still as long as possible. Of course, not everybody is able to, but we're still seeing, where I think normally we would see companies taking decisions, trying to hold off those decisions, especially when it comes to workforce and layoffs.
Where are we seeing this in terms of your membership of the businesses in this country? Are there regions where it's particularly showing up for you right now?
Well, with the regional question, that's a great question. We just follow our data from the Business Data Lab, and we know there's areas in the country that are much harder hit, St. John, New Brunswick, and of course, communities in southwestern Ontario, which are more heavily impacted by the sectoral tariffs. So with that, I think of the auto sector and steel and aluminum. But I think in terms of who's also hardest hit, we can't forget about two other things, if I may. One is agriculture, and that's from what I call the boomerang or retaliatory tariffs that are coming through from China, of course. But then, Amanda, when we go back to the fentanyl and border tariffs, that's a really important area for us to be paying attention to right now, because while we have the reprieve with anything that is CUSMA compliant. I heard this in DC last week as well. We're actually discovering a new gap in our understanding and data about how much of our trade, and this is a very important distinction, is CUSMA eligible versus actually having that trade and those goods registered under CUSMA. And that's a very, I think, as we're learning, big difference.
Really interesting, and one we'll keep tracking. Candace, got to leave it there, but so good to have you with us. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Candace Laing, President and CEO of the Canadian Chamber of Commerce.